Hi, Tammy.
Hi. How's it going, Dave?
Good. You?
Good.
Well, Dan, I think our ice fishing's over with, huh?
I put my fish house up on the shelf yesterday.
I did too. I put mine away yesterday too.
So I think it's getting there. I was telling Tammy, all last week I skied around Whitewater every day, and I think yesterday was my last day. There were a few spots where there was some open water starting to show up, and it's getting a little bit slushy. So, but pretty cool. It's so telling her how low the doggone lake is. My gosh, there's rock piles sticking out all over that I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm. You can see them when you drive by.
It's got to be down. I would say 10 or 12 feet. So.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, March 22nd, City of Hoyt Lakes regular city council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Reland.
Here.
Councilors Zins.
Here.
Pop.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Kramer.
Here.
Roll call's complete. Consent agenda, please.
Approve the following items from the consent agenda. Item number 3, approval of city council meeting minutes of March 8th, 2021. Item 7, correspondence, animal control officer report, February 2021. And then item 10, claims, payroll, and receipts.
Everybody good with the consent agenda? If so, motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Councillor Peterson. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Kramer. Roll call.
Councilors Zins.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Guest Citizens Forum, nobody's on tonight to speak other than what's on the agenda. We will go down to reports from staff. Library Director Sue Sowers.
She did not come on tonight.
Yeah, she's on.
Yeah, she's on.
Hang on. There, I was muted. Sorry.
Yeah, I lost her.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yes, there you
All right.
are.
Okay. I don't know what's going on there. We're in the second week of our Take and Make treasure bag program. That's through the Legacy Cultural and Heritage Fund. Mary Malari had designed them and put together the packages. I think we still have a few left. I'm not sure. I know last week, I believe there was maybe 7 or 8 left, so there might be a couple left today. We were awarded $3,000 towards an art project through Arrowhead Library System Legacy Art Grant. So we're looking at doing a metal sculpture out in front of the library, which would be like a 3-piece set on each side. One on each side would be a sculpture of each of our lakes. In the middle would be representing a mine pit with the some water and the sun and a fir tree. The artist's estimate came a little bit over, came 1,000 over the 3,000. So I'm pursuing other funding for that project. But that would have to be completed by the end of June. So working on that. I was selected as a co-chair for the Small and Rural Libraries Roundtable, and that's the Minnesota Library Association. So that just requires me to attend one meeting a month for an hour. So I'm looking forward to that, representing the small and rural libraries throughout the state. And then April 6th through April 8th, I will be attending all-day virtual conference called Future School. That's provided for free for librarians, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and North Dakota, kind of looking at the future of libraries, what we can possibly expecting and how we can prepare for that. And that's it.
Thank you, Sue. Anybody got questions for Sue? Public Works Supervisor Kenny Snetziger.
Not a lot here tonight. It's just the normal spring for us here at Public Works. This morning we woke up after the winds this weekend. We had some trees down on the bike trails, etc. Doing potholes, storm drains, keeping up on that, getting ready for sweeper season, which should start anytime after this next snow, maybe.
Okay. Thanks, Kenny.
Agenda items.
Okay, thanks, Kenny. Public Utility Supervisor Jake Barron.
Yep. We've been down a guy the past week due to an injury, but we're hoping to have him back Wednesday, if not next week. Getting the wastewater plant set up for chlorination. We'll be doing that April through October. Filter building's coming along. You're actually starting to see some structure come up on that Mercury building. So that's kind of nice to see. Getting excited for that to be online. Getting quarterly water meter reads out of the way. Excuse me. JR Wastewater Incorporated is going to be in town jetting sewer lines. They're going to do about 16 blocks worth of sewer lines today or this year. Last year they did about 24. So they're going to be doing Dorchester, Brandon to Suffolk, Elmwood, Fairfax, Guilford, Hampshire from Canterbury to Suffolk, Suffolk, Kennedy to Leeds, and Leeds, Canterbury to the wastewater plant. So that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Ambulance Director, Melanie Olmsted.
We've been super busy. We just finished a 16-hour MLS course with our EMTs. Our run volume as of today is 30% up from last year. This month we're at 67 runs. 35 of them have been transfers. So we're really super busy lately, and then trying to fit in all our other things. We have some interest. Sherry Graham's got a hold of me at the school, and they want us to do a community CPR event. I think she was looking at doing it next month. I'm going to try to hold that off till possibly end of April, May, due to the outbreak we're having here of COVID. We're seeing an uptake of COVID calls and COVID transfers down to Duluth. What else was I going to say? Cody's got a couple things. He was able to, him and Jen, and I don't know who else ended up going. I was not able to run there today, but the COVID testing they're having in Aurora, we've been stopping in there when we can, and they're teaching us how to do it so that we could hold COVID testing here in Hoyt Lakes and the EMS department run it. Cody was there today and did talk to them, so he's got a couple things he's going to bring up. Looks like our ambulance is moving along. I got paint samples in the mail today, so I need to pick out colors for our new ambulance. We're having landing zone training in May. And in May, we're going to have a couple reps come up. We're going to be due for new monitors. I'm thinking that as a budget item for next year. So we're going to have a couple reps up. I think one of them is going to leave us a loaner for a month to try out. So we're looking forward to moving forward with that. But I'll let Cody go here.
Cody, go ahead. Got to unmute yourself, Cody.
He's on his way back from a 911 that they transported to Virginia. So he's in the ambulance.
It's really hard to hear you guys, but I did talk to Chris about it a little, but talked to Jason Metza today. He would like us to do a COVID testing clinic in Hoyt Lakes. So what are you, just looking for input from the council on that?
I think it's a good thing. I see Chief Sewler's on. How many calls or how many tests did they take today, Tim?
Today they had 144 at the end of the day. Again, remember it goes on again tomorrow. You don't have to have COVID symptoms to go in and get tested. We want to make sure that you're not asymptomatic and out there spreading it. You could possibly be positive. So it's 2 days. Today was pretty successful. Tomorrow we're hoping for the same kind of numbers. So yeah, I agree with Cody. I think the goal here is to get some of our EMTs and paramedics trained so we can test our own residents moving forward possibly. I think the county recognized that, sometimes it's a stretch to get our elderly or young people over to Virginia, and they brought it to us. So I encourage anybody to go up there. They accept walk-ins. You can, go on the website and sign up through the link. It's a saliva test too, so there's no nasal swabs or anything to worry about. But I think we need to push this next day, and then we'll take a look at the numbers and the positive, negative test results and make a determination as a group whether we need to bring a site into Hoyt Lakes too.
Okay. And Mel, you said you're getting tested, or you're going to go over and learn how to test tomorrow too. You and Cody talk to them and come up with a plan.
Okay. Yeah, I volunteered when they had it at the school, so I know how to do the test, but it was more registration things that I'll have to learn.
Any of the council have any questions on this possible testing? Okay. All right, Tim, you got anything else other than that?
I don't
Just-
think I do.
Mel, are you good?
I think so. Cody, you
Okay.
good?
I'm good. I don't
Okay.
have anything else.
Okay, Tim?
Yeah, just as you're all aware, we reached out to the county multiple times, letting them know that the speed limits are no longer in place on 110. The city, Public Works and or the police department doesn't control the signage out there, just the county. So again, for the fourth time, reached out to Vic Lund, and as you can see, everything's in place out there now, and everybody should realize that 110 between Aurora and Hoyt Lakes is a county road with a 55 maximum speed limit. And once you get to just outside of Aurora to 135, either north and or west, it's a state highway and it's 60 miles an hour all the way to Virginia. So I think if everybody just kind of glances at the signs and gets used to it, it's pretty easy to decipher if you're on a state highway or if you're on a county road. So.
Okay.
I've been helping Counselor Pop and Sandy with the last few blighted properties in town to try to get ahead of it for the summer. Again, it's the same residences, same challenges. We are actually going to meet again tomorrow morning at 9:30 to talk about any kind of progress. I was able to make a couple of contacts with the homeowners. I'm hoping to meet another one in the morning to bring them down and meet with us in person to see if we can push that property forward or not. So.
Okay. Is that it, Tim?
That's about it.
Okay. Attorney Mitch Brunfeld, do you have anything now or just the agenda items?
Mayor, I'll just comment on agenda items later on.
Okay. All right. Tammy, anything from you?
Not at this time.
Okay, moving on. Reports from city councilors, Councilor Zins,
Just agenda items.
Councilor Pop.
Yeah, just to kind of add to what Chief Sewell had brought up, he and I and Sandy met last Tuesday. We're gonna hopefully continue to meet once a week here to try to stay on top of this blight issue. We still have a number of residences that are very, very much in non-compliance, and try to come up with a game plan going forward. I know last year we did 2 free garbage pickups. We may have to consider using some of those dollars for some alternative type of cleanup where we may end up having to hire a contractor to come in and clean up if the residence isn't going to take care of it. So maybe we'll see what spring brings here, and I think we should plan on a city cleanup with our normal brush and leaves and grass. And I know I haven't talked to Kenny at all about that, but some April, May, like we usually do, and then maybe consider just doing maybe a free garbage pickup in the fall, next fall, depending on what the sanitation budget looks like. But so that's kind of where we are. And with that, I guess I would kind of like to also, just as a reminder to citizens, part of the blight ordinances includes inoperative vehicles and unlicensed vehicles. So I did drive around today. We have 60 plus vehicles in town that have 2020 tabs on, which became outdated as of January 1st. So reading the ordinance, well, not the ordinance, but the statute, I think if vehicle is operating but on license tab, it's $108 penalty. After 6 months, the DMV can confiscate the vehicle. So depending on how far back in 2020 the vehicle was not licensed properly. So just as a reminder, and there were many vehicles that people obviously are still driving, a lot of new vehicles that are driving around with green stickers on. So if you don't have a red or a yellow sticker, you're in non-compliance. And Sandy has been, she put a reminder in the paper last fall about it. She's been sending out some reminders to folks that have vehicles that aren't licensed properly. And granted, a lot of them also are vehicles with flat tires and inoperable, and those are the ones we're going to be working on they're either gonna have to make up their mind, they're gonna have to fix them and license them, or we'll have them towed, so. And that's it.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Counselor Peterson.
Yeah, we had the Bantam A region tournament at the arena this last weekend, and it went really well. It was a lot of fun to watch. Unfortunately, we didn't have any teams that made it to state, but on another note, the 12U girls are going to state, and they play on Friday at 4:00. So congratulations to them. And that's all I got.
Counselor Peterson, where are they playing? Do you know?
You know what? I didn't see what arena they're at.
Okay.
Owatonna.
Is that Owatonna?
Oh, it's a nice long drive for them.
Yeah.
Counselor Kramer.
Nothing.
Okay, I've got a couple things. Food distribution this week. We're back on for 1:15. I cannot be there this week. Chris, Deb, Dan, are you guys all in or not?
I can be there.
I should be able to be there. I think I'm signed up on the ambulance, but hopefully there won't be any calls and then come down, and I'll bring my partner with.
I cannot. I have a division meeting at work in the afternoon.
Okay, and Kenny's crew's been great too. So I'd imagine that bus has been showing up a little after 12. So Chris, I will get all the paperwork lined up and dated and stuff, and I'll get it to you before. I'm going to be out of town on Thursday. So, but
Okay.
I know I've got 4 or 5 other seniors that are going to be there too. So I think there'll be plenty of people. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And then the CARES funding, there's a Rams Zoom meeting on Thursday, I believe, and it's going to talk to us about what this CARES funding can be used for, and it's a lot easier this time. There's a lost revenue counts, lost utility bills counts, so there's going to be a webinar on different things, and it sounds like we're going to get 2 installments of $110,000 each year, and we'll have the whole year to spend it. So once that money comes out, maybe the council will have a special counseling to look at where we want to spend that money, and supervisors might start thinking about that too. So that's some good news. So those are the 2 I have tonight. We'll move to old business. COVID-19 updates. Councilor Pop, Dan wanted this down for masking. I know there's been some, I won't say controversy, but some discussion and on masking. When do we need to wear masks, and what we need to do? The CDC keeps changing their guidelines, and I guess as a council tonight, I'd like to talk about that on what we want to do. So Dan, I'll let you lead it off.
Yeah, I guess that, like I say, I know there was some question at it down at the fire hall during training, and there was also some question at City Hall about it. So, and I know that the CDC has come out with various views on that, but I think the thing that we need to remember, and the recommendation that I would like to make, is no matter what the CDC is coming out, they're still suggesting wearing masks, social distance, and washing. So in lieu of what's happened in the area here in the last couple of weeks, the fact that, we're rounding the third base, so to speak, and hopefully on the homeward stretch here, I think that we should keep the masking mandate in place in all city buildings and city vehicles until we reach herd immunity would be my suggestion.
Okay. Any of the other council have comments on it?
I guess I was wondering, isn't the recommendation if people are vaccinated that they don't have to, or is that because these are public buildings that we want to keep them being masked?
My understanding is that the vaccination does not keep you from spreading it or getting it. And the only thing the vaccination is supposed to do is hopefully keep your symptoms minimal so that you don't end up in the hospital or on a respirator. But you can still get it and you can still transmit it, is what I've learned. Maybe I'm wrong or getting it wrong, but that was my understanding of it.
I had heard that too. And then on one side, I saw, they were saying if 2 people are vaccinated, they can get together. So I think there's a lot of confusion out there, like what's right and what's not. Some of it seems to be conflicting.
I agree with you, Chris. Chief Sewler, what have you heard?
Yeah, so I think I'm on the same page. So I think if we just look at it, the CDC says if you've been vaccinated, you can gather without a mask. The state of Minnesota is saying, even if you have been vaccinated, we'd like to have you in mask. And just trying to simplify what it says. And it's kind of, Minnesota can be more lenient than federal, or more strict. They can be more strict, but not more lenient. So I think public buildings, yeah, I mean, if I'm inside my office and, that's a place where I don't have to wear a mask, that's always been the case. It's what does the council want to follow? The Minnesota guidelines by Governor Walz, or do we want to be updated daily on the CDC website, what they like? So yeah, anytime anybody comes into the public safety building, whether we've been vaccinated or not, our masks go on. Are they on 24/7 when you're the only person at your workstation? No. Knowing that Mel's vaccinated, am I walking across and it's her and I having a conversation? No, we're inside the building. We have daily contact. We've both been vaccinated. So those type of situations, there isn't a mask, but anytime someone walks in there, we're unsure, or even if they tell us they're vaccinated, the mask come on. So Dan, are you looking for a little more defined definition of how we want to do it, or?
Well, I just think that, the questions came up, and so the big concern that I have, especially in city buildings, is you don't really, so all the city workers haven't been vaccinated, and anybody that could come into any of the buildings at any time, you really cannot ask them, have you been vaccinated? So you don't have that safety net there. So I think we've all been so ingrained in the process of wearing our mask. I don't think another month or 6 weeks or whatever is going to hurt anything. And I think Councillor Zins hit it right on the head. There's no known facts that say because you've been vaccinated, you're immune to it, or you can't carry it to somebody else. And so it's just, I think we should keep up with the safety net that we've put out there. I think Governor Walz has done a heck of a job in staying on the safe side, and it's not going to be that much longer, hopefully. So
I think it's safe to say we will follow the Minnesota guideline when it comes to masking. And I think you're right. If it's family members, it's different. But any public building, we're going to follow his guide, which is that you wear a mask.
Mayor, if I could chime in here.
Absolutely, Mitch.
Mayor, this council adopted a formal preparedness plan back on July 27th, and that is a very strict document, and it requires full cooperation. It requires full cooperation by all employees, and that preparedness plan requires the wearing of masks. And as Chief Sewler mentioned, the state can adopt guidelines more restrictive than the CDC, and actually the city of Hoyt Lakes can adopt its own guidelines more restrictive than what the state requires. But right now, the policy of this city in writing, as of that July 27th plan that's in place, is that employees are required to wear masks. They are required to follow that policy, and that policy stays in place and stays in full force and effect unless and until it's rescinded or modified by this city council. So there's really no discussion. You're under a policy right now that's already been promulgated by this city council requiring the wearing of masks. And unless and until that's modified or rescinded, employees are required to wear masks.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Mitch. And, I was getting to the point where I thought maybe we could soften that, but with the outbreak in the area right now, Dan, I have to agree with you right now. I think we need to stay vigilant on everybody wearing masks. And we've got quite a few employees, I didn't say quite a few, but some that decided not to get vaccinated. So I think we really got to be careful here yet for a while. Unless somebody on this council wants to make a motion to rescind that order that was in place, masks will be in place, so. Any other discussion on this? Okay, we'll move on to new business. And, excuse me, Dan, anything else on COVID you want to talk about?
Nope, I think that's it. So, other than the fact that the spit tasting station, I know I took a very good use of that. I think I made 4 or 5 trips down to Duluth when it first started at the deck. They had the station over at St. Louis, one of the St. Louis County buildings over in Virginia. I did a couple tests, and then we had gotten the mail-in where they would actually UPS you the test tube. You did a Zoom call and did the spit test online. So I had planned on being over there this morning and then ended up going to Duluth on an ambulance transfer, but I'd be willing to help out with a test. I think I've done enough and know the drill enough that I think it could be very helpful in that. So, but that's it.
Okay, good, thank you. We'll move on to new business. Approved payment dated February 28th, 2021 in the amount of $360 to NTS for concrete testing for the Hoyt Lakes Wastewater Treatment Facility Improvement Project. I remember when we approved this contract with the engineers and Gritter, that testing was always something separate. Every once in a while, they require cement testing and it'll be blacktop testing. So this is just a separate bill that'll get paid for through the grant program through the state. So we just need an approval on this. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councillor Zinn, support.
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Pop. Roll call.
Councilors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Item B, to approve the SEH plans and specifications for the Hoyt Lakes Water Tower project and authorization advertising for bids. The documents down at City Hall, did any of the council get a chance to go down there and look at it? Or read the whole thing? Tammy, quit smiling. I think it's like 360 pages. So I think I saw Matt on. Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here, Mayor.
Any comments, Matt?
No, if you wanna put yourself to sleep at night, go borrow that thing and try to start reading through it. But no, all we're looking for is just for the council to accept the plans inspection and authorize us to advertise. We will advertise on Thursday, would be the first day of advertisement. Then we advertise for about 3.5 weeks, and we'd open bids on April 22nd, I believe was the day. Yes, April 22nd, we would open the bids.
Okay. Jake, have you had a chance to look at it all? Oh, I'm sorry, Dan or Dave. Dave, go ahead.
Matt, could you just give a generic explanation of what's going to be done for the public, please? Sure. The water tower out at Laskin, we're going to recoat, so remove the existing coating with what's left of it on the interior and the exterior, and we're going to recoat that, paint it. And then there's also some OSHA safety requirements that will require some upgrades to some of the components. And then there was a couple of miscellaneous things. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there was a couple of miscellaneous things. The light beacon on the top being one that's broke right now. Some things like that that'll be replaced.
And just for the council and the public's information, we did receive a $250,000 grant for this project. So that's going to help fund a large portion of this. So anybody else have any questions for Matt on the water tower? Jake, are you okay? Everything good with it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it, Mayor.
Okay. Not hearing any, I'm looking for a motion to call for bids for the water tower project.
I'll make that motion.
I'll make that motion too.
Motion by Councillor Peterson, support.
I'll support.
Support by Councillor Pop. Roll call.
Councilors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Item C, to approve the purchase order dated March 16th, 2021 between Janelle Stevens and the City of White Lakes for storage tracks D, E, F, and G, Highway 666 in the amount of $6,000, and to authorize the mayor and deputy clerk to execute. Rachel, I see you're on there. Any update on that? Just standard?
No, it's just standard. She offered full price for all 4 lots.
Okay.
Pretty much what we're asking for.
Okay. And then to go with that one is to adopt the City of White Lakes Resolution 2021-002, a resolution authorizing conveyance of real estate to Janelle Stevens as follows: tracks D, E, F, and G, RLS 120.
Yeah.
Motion for that?
We have to have separate motions for those?
Okay. So the motion on item C
Yeah.
for the purchase?
Purchase first, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Counselor Zinn, support by Counselor Pop. Roll call?
Counselor Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Need a motion to adopt the City of White Lakes Resolution 2021-002, resolution authorizing conveyance of real estate to Janelle Stevens as follows: tracks D, E, F, and G, RLS 120.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Peterson, support.
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Zins. Roll call.
Counselors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Next on, to approve the purchase order dated March 16, 2021 between Jesse and Rachel LeCount and the City of White Lakes for storage tracks M, Highway 666 in the amount of $1,500, and to authorize the mayor and deputy clerk to execute. Can I have a motion on that one?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Pop, support.
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Zins. Roll call.
Counselors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. And the last one, to adopt City of White Lakes Resolution 2021-03, a resolution authorizing conveyance of real estate to Jesse and Rachel LeCount as follows: tracks M, RLS 120. Motion on that, please.
I'll motion.
Motion by Counselor Kramer. Support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Zins. Roll call.
Counselors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. And the next item is to approve the addendum to listing contract of Northwoods Land Office Rachel LeCount to May 1, 2022. That's for Colby Ridge. Is that correct, Rachel?
Yep, that's because now with you guys accepting the lots for the bids for these storage lots, those are all sold. Leads are all sold. So all we have left is Colby Ridge. So I believe we have to wait till the April 12th meeting to approve that.
Yes, Attorney Brunfeld, that's an EDA. So is it correct when we're going to do an EDA meeting at the next council meeting to approve that then?
Correct. If we're just dealing with Colby Ridge, it would be EDA then, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to table this one, and Tammy, you'll put it on the April one with an EDA meeting. Okay, thank you. And the last one, storage lots on Highway 66 to be platted. Rachel, I know you sold them all. I did talk to Kenny.
Okay.
Kenny, are you going to reach out and get us a price for the next council meeting? I don't want this council to move forward on plotting those other 10 on the south side without an actual price or a quote, so the council knows how much we're spending on that.
Okay, do you have any input for me? The last time these were plotted, or the first 12, on the north side of the road that are all sold now. They were done in 13 as a registered land survey by Mike Miller, who is no longer in business. The recommendation who I reach out to. Benchmark was the one who did the Leeds lot project for us.
Yeah, I would think get a price from Benchmark.
Okay. I mean, looking at what was done out there, the property that's going to encompass the 10 lots has already been surveyed. However, the pins for the 10 individual lots is what we need.
Yes, that's correct.
Mhm.
Just so the council's aware, when we did that, the 12 on the north side were actually pinned exactly where they're supposed to be. And we thought we would wait to do the south side 10 lots until we needed to. Well, we've sold them all in a pretty rapid situation here. So Kenny will bring us a price back at the next council meeting. So Rachel, my question to you then, once we get those up, I would assume you'd want to go back on as the realtor on those?
Yes, please. I would love to.
Yeah, once they're done, we'll bring it back up again. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great.
Any other questions on that? Not hearing any. Item D, Planning Commission update. Councilor Zins.
At the last planning and zoning, there was 3 recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They're before you. The only thing we know that the rezoning the 2 parcels on Suffolk from commercial to R3, we have to have a public hearing on. If the council goes ahead and approves this recommendation. We weren't sure about the other 2.
There will have to be public hearings on all 3 of them. And so, and actually, I really think for something like this, since you do have a functioning planning and zoning commission, and does a really good job with these types of issues, and I think probably would be best to actually have the planning and zoning commission conduct the public hearings. I think that's really one of the primary functions of a planning and zoning commission, is to hold those hearings. So since public hearings do have to be held, and then on the rezoning matter, there also has to be a special type of notice that goes out to neighboring property owners within 350 feet of the rezoned parcels. So what I'd recommend to the council is actually now that you actually refer, if you're inclined that you want to move ahead with these, which I think you would, let's go ahead and actually refer it, make a motion to refer it back to planning and zoning for the working with city staff to make sure the appropriate notices go out, for planning and zoning to hold all the necessary public hearings that have to be held, and then for the planning and zoning commission, after the public hearings have been held, to come back with a final recommendation to the council. And what we'll do, Mayor and Council, is when we do go ahead and get the hearings set up, and we send out the requisite notices for those public hearings to be conducted by the Planning and Zoning Commission, we will have the actual ordinances or the actual code amendments written up, and those will actually be part of the notices that will go out, so they can see what the actual ordinance language will be.
Okay, thank you.
Can all of these 3 things be heard at one public hearing?
Yeah, right. Yep. So we can go ahead and schedule it in such a way that we can have, I mean, technically they can all be held on the same date, but you will, on that date when the Planning and Zoning Commission meets, you will open and close 3 separate public hearings, but they can all be held on the same date. We just have to time the notices correctly. Yeah, we just have to time the public hearing notices correctly so that they can all be held by the Planning and Zoning Commission on the same date.
Okay,
Okay.
Counselor Zins, I have a question for you. To the rezoning the parcels, those two, the third one there, where is that?
That's right along, well, if you take the road that would go down to where the city, well, actually, was trying to think exactly. Matt, can you help me out here?
It's at the Key School. The Key School in Wyandotte or in Suffolk.
Okay, so the lots that face Suffolk from the Keefe School.
The one that the county has been trying to sell.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted the council and the public to understand which ones we're rezoning.
Right. There's just been some people calling about it, so we just wanted, and the zoning board didn't want that to be rentals or storage units. They wanted this to be homes. So
okay.
They want to change it back to R3.
Okay. And anything else, Councilor Zins?
No, that's it. So I just ask that we table this tonight, and then we'll go forward with the planning and zoning, if that's okay with the rest of the council. Any motion on that?
Yeah, actually, the motion actually would be to refer back to planning and zoning to conduct the appropriate public hearings and send out the requisite notices. So it's actually going to be referring it back to planning and zoning at this point.
Okay, I'll make that motion to refer it back to the planning and zoning for the public hearings.
Okay, motion on the floor by Councilor Zins. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Kramer. Roll call.
Councilors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Item E, discussion of animal control ordinance number 90. Councilor Pop.
Yes. So I think it was probably a meeting ago that I had made the recommendation that that in the near future here that we would be able to sit down with the animal control officer, Jed Olmsted, and I just asked Tammy to put the actual ordinance in the packet this time around, so the councilors were all able to look at it. I think our city forefathers did a heck of a job on the animal control ordinance, much as they did on the blight ordinances, and I think we just may be falling short a little bit on the enforcement end of that. So I guess I would like to, hopefully we can sit down and where we can schedule a meeting tonight where we could sit down next week or in the near future with Jed. And I would also ask Chief Seward to be able to attend that. I had talked to him about that also, and I had sent some information to council on that, if everything looked good in the ordinance, if there was anything that we have to worry about. And then also the question, I know many times the comment came back that the animal control officer did not have the authority to write tickets. And I discussed that with Chief Seward, and if we were going to follow the statute to base the ticket off of the statute, that was a question I gave to council also, and we'll hopefully have the correct answer here, but I'm pretty sure that just like in the blight officer, Sandy can write compliance orders, and I believe that Jed also can write compliance orders. So I guess I can take some comments from Chief Seward or from Mitch, so.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Dan. Maybe Attorney Mitch Brunfeld. Mitch, maybe you can take a look at that. I know that's one of the discussion points.
Yeah, right now the animal control ordinance, it basically just allows for tickets to be issued on essentially for petty misdemeanors, for violations of the ordinance. People can be cited under certain sections for a petty misdemeanor. There is a provision in the current ordinance that if they violate section 90.21, that's a misdemeanor level offense. But, those are actual citations that, a petty misdemeanor or a misdemeanor where if it's going to be handled or if it's going to be challenged in some way, by the person receiving that, it goes into the court system, so it's actually something that's handled by the city prosecutor in the actual criminal court system. And, obviously, that the criminal courts has its own set of challenges because, the criminal court calendars are, huge calendars and lots of cases. And when you issue a petty misdemeanor or a misdemeanor level citation for enforcement of the animal ordinance, it can get, pretty bound up in the criminal court system. So, yeah, I mean, if there is a way under law where we could revamp the ordinance that would allow more types of administrative citations to be issued, that's something we can look at. I can look at some other neighboring city animal control ordinances. I know Evelyn some years back did a pretty major revamping of their animal control ordinance, and they have a pretty robust ordinance. And then we can also look at some model ordinances through the League of Minnesota City to see what's there. But yeah, I mean, I think if we can revamp the ordinance that makes it more efficient, where instead of having, like with the old blight system, the old blight enforcement system, blight was enforced largely through the criminal court process. And that has huge challenges. And then when you switch to more of the administrative process, I think you've seen a lot of efficiencies on the blight side. And hopefully we could build something like that into the animal control ordinance. It's going to take a little bit of research, but I think we can take a look at that. And that would be a revision that probably would make enforcement quite a bit easier if we could issue administrative citations.
Right, and the current is that Jed comes down, we create a case number, one of my officers will write that criminal citation, and then we throw it through the court system. It's the same process we do in Aurora. So that's the process that Jed has to use. That's been in place for a couple of years now. He tells us what he wants to remember, either it's animal at large or barking. We write it. Typically, it's a payable because it is a petty misdemeanor. But I don't disagree with Mitch. If you have civil citations and you just look at the blight, you take that out of the court system, you still have a due process appeal process, which is a city council. But it gives Jed a little more leeway to just cite that person, skip the court costs in the process. It's going to move a $50 ticket to $185 and proceed that way. And then, of course, the more times you violate, the higher it goes. But so he's not able to now. The process is, and he doesn't come down, is to request a citation. We give him the case number. And even for any animal that he's bringing over to the shelter or someone surrendering, he has to have a case number. So we've got all those on file, and that's a permanent record for the city to access at any time. So,
Dan, did that help?
Yeah, I think it did. And so do you think that we give Mitch some time to come up with a plan there? I think I read a lot of the way the ordinance reads, it reads very similar to the blight ordinance, where it's not only citing the statute, but it also gives the city a lot of leeway to be able to, being because we've already got, if an animal is taken to the shelter, there's a $25 impoundment fee and the license fee and a fee for not having your license for a late license fee. So I think a lot of those pieces are there. I think it's just a way of making things simpler for Jed to not have to be able to follow up on stuff a lot easier. So.
Yeah, and I think what I'd recommend is if you were thinking about having a meeting, why don't you go ahead and do that and have kind of your committee meeting to review, how it's currently, being handled under the ordinance. What are the problems? What are the areas that need to be improved on? Maybe just have your committee meeting and have your general discussion, maybe come to a consensus on what you'd like to see. And then in the meantime, I can start doing the research on, if we have some other city animal control ordinances that we can compare, look at what might be working well in other cities, see what the league has. I can do all that research on that part of it. And then we can kind of mesh together what you folks come up with what I come up with and put something together.
Counselor Pop, the one thing I went over this, animal chapter 90. I don't see what the actual fines and stuff, they're not in here. I would imagine we have those someplace else with the city.
Well, petty misdemeanor is punishable by a maximum of $300. A misdemeanor offense is punishable by a maximum of 90 days in jail, a $1,000 fine, or both. So since they're defined as petty misdemeanors or misdemeanors, state law defines what the maximum penalties are.
But my question, Jed, my question to you then is, do we have a set amount that, like a leash law violation or barking violation?
Not really, no. I've never heard of a set amount, but you're not going to be able to, you have to understand a lot of the people that I deal with on a, not, I wouldn't say a regular basis, but they can't afford to pay a $50 fee, let alone a $300 fee. So we should probably try to get this base amount down. And then like Mitch said, maybe I can start writing citations or whatever that won't go through the court, and they can just go to the city hall and pay them.
And that actually would be a good thing for your discussion when you meet as a group. And that is, if we're going to go that road of an administrative process, come up with a reasonable fine schedule. I mean, Jed, like you say, you deal with the folks out there, and you, I mean, I think you know, with Chief Suler as well, you can kind of come up with maybe a scale of administrative fines that maybe would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
No, so Dan, the question I have for you then.
Yeah, the only thing.
Go ahead. Who was?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say the only thing we have is in our little, I guess it's kind of a oranges book this year. It does have the cost of the license and the late fee for not getting the license on time, and then the impoundment fee is on there.
Yeah.
And then read in the language, it also calls for boarding costs and stuff that are all set by the council. So, you know, if there's a boarding cost or a disposition, you know, say if an animal has to be disposed of, there's wording in there that person can be charged for disposition also. And that was the one other question that I had for Mitch is in the blight ordinance. It says if for some reason the animal owner didn't pay that fine, that those fines or fees could be assessed to their real estate.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a little trickier with an animal control ordinance, because with blight is usually specifically related to a piece of real property where, you know, there's a rational relation or, you know, a connection between the actual offense and a person's real property. And I think gives the city a legal basis to be able to certify that against their real estate taxes. Animal control maybe is a little bit of a different animal, and so to speak. And I don't know if you would actually be able to level that kind of a fine and assess that against their real estate taxes like we would, like with, for example, on delinquent utility bills or on fees or fines under the blight ordinance. But again, that's something I can research and see if there would be some legal authority out there that for unpaid administrative fines that might be assessed under a revised ordinance, we could somehow certify those. If they remain unpaid, could we certify those against the person's real estate taxes? We'll see, but you know, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'll do the research and see if I can come up with some legal authority for that.
Dan and everybody else, I want to say probably 95%, maybe higher of the animals that I bring to Hibbing, nobody's claiming them. So when it comes to that, I keep the dog for the 5, you know, it's 5 business days, and I bring it to Hibbing. There's nobody that I can charge for that. You understand? And yep. I'm not going to go dispose a dog or a cat. My heart can't handle that. So when I get an animal, it doesn't get picked up. I bring it to Hibbing. They fix it. They give it the shots, and then they rehome it. But there's nobody that I can charge for that.
Right, and we understand that.
At least 95% of that. And like
right.
You know, a couple weeks ago with Boucher's animals. Picked up 2 dogs, I think I picked up 5 cats. You know, who do you charge for that? A man is in hospice and his animals are sitting there. What do you do about that? Somebody's got to take them. You know, the animal shelter in Virginia took, I think, like 6 cats. Then I ended up taking 2 dogs, 5 cats. And I found homes for all of them. But, you know, how do we recoup that? We can't. I mean, unless you want to charge Randy, which I think is probably not the best thing to do. You know, just situations like that happen all the time, more often than people coming in and getting their animals. It's a tough business. That, you know, it's when you have a big heart, you know, you gotta find, you know, a place for these animals to go. So that's just my 2 cents, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
And I know it is a tough, but it's the fact that I think that way too many people have animals and they don't have the means to take care of them. So, I mean,
I agree.
Numbers that we just got, Tammy was finally able to come up with some numbers. So it's showing right there's 68 animals licensed in White Lakes. That
okay, but Dan, also we've been dealing with COVID this year too, and the city hall was closed down for a good portion of the year, and they're 2-year licenses, Dan, and I don't have the time to go knock on everybody's door to see how many animals they have. You know, like Boucher's, who knew that he had 9 cats in that house or 10 cats? I mean, you know, it's just something that it shouldn't happen. It's not, you know, the responsible pet owners in town are great. They're excellent. But there are obviously, you know, in every town, there's some very irresponsible pet owners. And I think a lot of those pet owners love, you know, cats or dogs or whatever, but I think the situation gets out of hand where maybe the cats start breeding and pretty soon you have 2 cats and now you have 8 cats and it just gets out of control. And how am I or Tim or anybody supposed to know what's going on in somebody's house? I've had a couple situations like that over the last, you know, few years that I had to deal with. It's not good, but I mean, what do you do?
And that was the main reason that I brought it up. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody or say
I know.
Job. It's just the fact that I think it's getting out of control. I think that a lot of people maybe are not even aware of what our ordinance says as far as license requirements and leash laws and cleaning up after, you know, when the dog poops or where they can let them run free. There's just a lot of information in there that, and that was kind of the reason I wanted to bring it up on the public meeting, is hopefully it'll get in the minutes and anybody that may be watching, and to let the citizens know that we are going to try to get a handle on what I think is starting to become a problem at times. So,
Dan, what I'd like to do right now is I'd like to make a committee with you and one other council person, and Jed and Tim, to have a meeting. I'm booked solid, so I don't even want to consider this right now. But is there any other council person that would be interested to be on that committee to go over that and try to come up with some changes?
I can.
Okay, Dan, is that okay if we start that way?
Sure, that's fine. Yep.
So you and Councillor Peterson and Jed and Tim, you know, that way we don't have 3. You can schedule at any time that works for you. You know what I mean? Then bring an update back, and then when Mitch is ready with his, we can have a, you know, you're working on that side, Mitch is working on his side, and then if we have to have a special council meeting just on it, hopefully we'll have more information.
Yeah, that sounds good. We sit down and try to get this thing figured out.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else tonight? Just remember the food drive, noon, either by noon or so on Thursday. And Chris, I'll get you that paperwork to you before I leave. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. I'm looking for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Peterson, support.
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Kramer. Roll call.
Counselors Zins,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Reland.
Yes, motion carries. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Night.